The Riftway Cataclysm. 15 billion years after the birth of our stars, they began to die. The eldest of all civilizations, with unparalleled mastery of matter and force, sought refuge from the heat death of their galaxy. Using a network of cosmic megastructures, the architects collapsed their galaxy to a singularity, and with it, bore through space and time. Their goal was to tunnel through the causal timeline, back to the earliest point in the universe. What they did not see in all their optimism and desperation were the many temporal folds that lay between them and their carefully calculated destination. Rather than creating a solitary bridge to the early universe, to be jealously hoarded for eternity, the architects gave birth to an insatiable worm that hungrily ate through the crumpled fabric of the space-time continuum. Innumerable points throughout history were linked in a chaotic web of rifts, comprising the Riftway. Apex empires and nascent species, once separated by insurmountable intergalactic vastness, found themselves in calamitous first contact. All of distance and history stood on the brink of war. The elder universe teemed with life. Its most ancient races inevitably exploited their home worlds until all that remained were desiccated husks. The Riftway was a lifeline to those twilight empires at the end of their reign. Those most hungry hunters who traveled the Riftway may discover bountiful flora worlds or a fledgling civilization in the early universe ripe for the picking. The aging titans of the old universe, in their bloated gluttony and desperation, stood to consume all of reality to sate their bottomless hunger. Quick to realize the destructive power of the Riftway, the architects set to work enacting their penance crusade. Recompense for the intergalactic holocaust they had unleashed. At each rift, a fragment of their power was left behind to stand sentry, allowing none but the architects passage. Such was their immeasurable power. For a half-millennia, the architects stood watch over the Riftway, silent, stoic, and unwavering. In this long night, the ancient denizens of the old universe, starving to death in their barren waste worlds, were held at bay by the merciless Rift Wardens. All the while, messiahs were sent to each fledgling species to guide them towards self-reliance in the coming Rift War. Artifacts, mutation, technology, and the secrets of rift weaving were given to the young species, a token gesture of atonement, as a father would give a son born into a violent world. Due to the nature of the causal timeline, the architects sometimes found themselves having to restrain a species they were helping uplift earlier in their development, for they too may be seeking to oppress an even younger world. The architects, though sorrowful, would not abandon their own dreams of perpetuity. After 500 years of peace and guidance, they vanished. For those 500 years, the denizens of the old universe scratched at the doors of the young until their paws were bloodied and raw, if they hadn't starved to death in the waiting. It was as though a swarm of hungry locusts were unleashed and set to ravage space-time like a field of wheat ready for harvest. Were it not for the boons of the architects, the Rift War would have been over before it had begun. After the long night and the abandonment of the architects, the Riftway lay open to any species bold or desperate enough to traverse it. Hungry giants stormed the Riftway, feasting on galaxies. Peaceful societies either perished, fled, or embraced the ways of war. The front lines of the final all-war were drawn around the rifts, scattered across trillions of stars and billions of years. No one species knows the true scale of the Rift War. Each is trapped by conflict within their own small corner of the infinite vastness of the Riftway. Each world finds itself wrestling with the duality of the Cataclysm, for beyond a rift's violet precipice lay their greatest threats and best chance for survival. Scattered throughout the universe lay the empty tombs of the cosmic architects that once lorded over all of reality for a half-millennia. Abandoned warcraft, derelict outposts, and vast megastructures were left behind to be doted over by dutiful steward constructs. Grave robbers now plunder these vacant crypts for secrets of the architects. Those who glean even a superficial understanding of the architect's true power attain a fraction of their godhood. With each solar system conquered, each enemy slain, and each rift traveled, greater treasures and new foes await those empires bold enough to push further into the Riftway. Technological supremacy, caloric abundance, and metaphysical wonders tempt intergalactic empires to spill blood beyond accounting. Now the Rift War wages on throughout an eternally looping causal timeline. A limitless variety of worlds battle for survival in an unforgiving universe. Reality is rewritten as the past clashes with the future, and galaxies once beyond reach are carelessly interwoven through the complex machinations of the Riftway. Only once the rifts are being shut can a true victor be crowned in this final battle for existence.